we're starting our Imperial China lecture, and we're going to be focusing on the fall of the Han Dynasty, which leads us to our period of disunion and the Sui Dynasty reuniting China. Okay, so here we see the Han Dynasty. We're going to notice that if you look carefully here, they are going to be along the East Coast and along where the water is going. So they are going to be in the places easiest to live. Now, these gray lines or white lines, whatever color it is, this is the Silk Road and some trade routes that they have going there. So we're going to see there's going to be cities and things along the trade as well. Okay, so let's review the fall of the Han Dynasty for us. So, last year, we had the Han Dynasty. The Han Dynasty was awesome. A time of growth, a time of achievements. And one of the things that the way it ran is the emperor, the Han emperor, chose aristocrats to fill his bureaucracy. So he said, oh, well, Roger, your family is rich, so you're going to be in charge of this. And so let's say your family's rich, so you're in charge of this. And Felicia, your family's rich, you're in charge of this. And that's how they picked. It was all about how much money or how rich or powerful your family was. Now, does anyone remember what the term bureaucracy means when I say this?
No.
Joel has an idea. Yes, Joel.
When you read the sentence, the emperor
chose aristocrats. You read. Yeah, so Joel is using the context. I appreciate that, Joel. That's a smart strategy to do. So he says, well, it looks like it's trying to fill jobs, duties, things like that. And yeah, it's the government. So a bureaucracy is when you have a big government. And the emperor, like you said, he didn't care that Leighton was really smart and talented. He just picked Leighton because their family was rich and they were friends. And so this works fine if you pick people like Leighton who are smart and talented. But let's say they pick lazy bones like Iris. Right now, she is busy playing on a swing instead of going and doing her history. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. I'm so jealous. You're so lucky. So the emperor picked people based on their families and not their skills. So when we pick someone like Iris, which we know, obviously I'm kidding. Iris is amazing. I love Iris. She's a hard worker and she's great. She's shaking her head no, which is shocking me. You know, you pick lazy bones, like you say, all right, it's your job, Iris, to go protect the Great Wall, make sure that no, nomads are invading, like the Mongols or Huns. And instead she goes and plays on the swing. And, she doesn't notice that like right outside on the other side, they're breaking down the wall. Or like I say, hey, Nora, it's your job to go collect all the taxes. And she's like, says, oh yeah, that's great. And then she goes in her office and starts playing Splatoon 2 on her Switch, like instead of going and doing the job. Like, so the government was corrupt. People weren't doing their work and everything fell apart. Now remember, we reviewed our mandate of heaven on Wednesday, and the mandate of heaven said, your government should be virtuous. Emperor Eli isn't picking good people for his government. He's picking his buddies that are rich. So that means Emperor Eli is losing the mandate of heaven. Now, what does the mandate of heaven say? If Eli is not being a good emperor, he is not being virtuous, what do the people have to do to keep the gods happy?
Sacrifice.
Wrong. Raj said sacrifice, and it is false. Mikkel says kill. Nora says kill and overthrow. Eli? Overthrow. Joel, or not Joel, Jude said kill. What did you say, Joel?
Kill.
And he said kill. Yeah, you're supposed to overthrow and rebel. And probably wind up killing them. Yes, they're sorry, Eli, you're donezo, bro. So we overthrow the dynasty, which, by the way, if you don't remember what a dynasty is, first off, shame on you. We've talked about dynasties for the past 2 years. It's a ruling family. Yes, sir. Oh, it's right there. I think Iris is now planning on like jumping on her computer because she's so done with school. She's like, I'm going to swing and smash. Do be careful, darling. Okay, so we're supposed to overthrow the Han Dynasty. And they did. Hooray. Sorry, Eli. You're now executed. We liked you, too. It's a bummer. Here's the thing, though. When you have a government, it's good because you know exactly who's in charge, right? China enters a period called the period of disunion. And in the period of disunion, Mikhail says, well, I should be in charge. And Jude says, well, no, I should be in charge. And Lydia says she should be in charge. And we know how Lydia can get when she wants something. She's going to fight for it. And Jude just said, me too. Yeah. So right here on this map, we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 main warlords all going and fighting for control of China. Doesn't that just sound like a great time?
Yeah.
It's not. Because here's the thing. Warlords like Jude, their lives are fine because they're rich and they're powerful. But these warlords, they would basically go to your village and say, you've got two options. You can give us all your food and crops, or we can burn them. Either way, you're left without lunch. And for like the next... Yeah, so you lose all your food. And by the way, besides taking all of your food, they would say, oh, by the way, any boys that are military age, they're coming with me. They're now in my army. It's not, Roger, would you like to join my army so we can go and rule China? No, it's, let's go. Oh, you don't want to go? Oh, stabby, stabby. There we go. Anyone else want to disagree? That's how, so that's how it was. So these warlords would just go around, and this was a really bad time to be a Chinese peasant because people are literally walking into your home. It's like if someone today, like, rang your doorbell. So you open the door. Oh, hello. They punch you in the face. They walk over to your refrigerator, take all the food out of the refrigerator, and then they take your dad or your brothers and stuff to fight in your army. Yes, sir. Yeah, there you go. And he added COVID to take off the mask, so then, they spread a germ too. So here's the thing, too. It's not just that Warlord Jude goes to your town and does this. A couple weeks later, Warlord Joel might show up to your village and it's like, all right, I'd like all your food and your crops or I'll burn them. And then you say, well, I'm sorry. Someone else came and already stole all of our stuff. And then Joel's like, you just helped my enemy? Oh, stabby, stabby, pokey, pokey. Now you're dead too. So like it is lose, lose, lose. So it is very, very bad to be a peasant in this time. Now, China used to control a lot more land. For example, they used to rule Korea. This time, period of disunion, Korea breaks off. I'm not really so worried about that. You don't have to. We'll talk more about Korea and its history after we're done with China. But people are going to start adopting Buddhism in China now. Last year, we talked about Buddhism. Does anyone remember what Buddhism promised to end? What did Buddhism promise to end? Joel, sir? Joel said the evil stuff. So we had 4 noble truths. Does anyone remember our 4 noble truths? You want to try again, Joel? Not on the head, Jude. Iris says end violence and sickness. So remember, what did wanting cause? What did your desires cause?
War.
No. Suffering. Remember, your desires cause suffering is present in all things. You suffer because you want. So to stop suffering, stop wanting. And to be able to stop wanting, follow the Eightfold Path. Yes, thank you, London. Thank you, darling. So think about it. Does it sound like people are suffering in China?
Yes.
So when Delicia says, hey, I heard about this new religion called Buddhism, and it says promises to end suffering, Hayden's like, sign me up. This is terrible. This is the 3rd warlord this month who's came by and stolen our stuff and killed us. So Buddhism becomes the dominant religion in China during this time. And this is going to be something that's going to affect China for a long time. That's not a hand up, right? Okay, just making sure. Yes, sir. Yes, you may go to the bathroom. Cool. So, period of disunion, it's really bad. And people are really suffering.
They're like, oh no, suffering's time.
Yeah. So now we get to the Sui dynasty. And you're going to notice that the Sui dynasty does not last very long. It lasts 29 years. That doesn't bode well for the Sui. A lot of people skip the Sui, but the Sui are going to do something really important, so that's why we have to talk about them. That's why you at Frederick Classical Charter School actually do get the best educations around. So we got a guy named Wen Di, not Wendy, Wen Di. And he's going to be one of those warlords, and he is going to wind up winning enough battles. He's going to say, I'm the emperor. I've got the mandate of heaven. And people followed him. Now, we're going to go through a couple things that the Sui dynasty will do. So his son Yang Di is going to be the second and I believe the final Sui emperor. I don't think his grandson winds up being in there. And so first up, he sends a military campaign to reconquer Korea, which fails. So he does not conquer Korea. Korea is forever independent with that exception of the time period where it's like ruled by China, even though it's still called Korea. They're going to fix the Great Wall. They say, we can't have this Great Wall being busted up. Come on, darling. So they go and they start fixing the Great Wall. They rebuild the capital city of Chang'an, which I really don't care so much about, but just you don't have to write that one down. So rebuild Chang'an. And then they're going to build the Grand Canal. And this is a big deal. So a canal, if you don't know, is a man-made river. Perhaps you've gone and walked along the C&O Canal. Outdoor school, I believe, part of that time was at the C&O Canal. I know you guys didn't get to, or was that 5th grade that had virtual outdoor? Have you had outdoor school yet?
No.
Hopefully you'll get to actually go to outdoor school for real life. Well, I mean, I guess some of you people out, in homeland won't, but maybe these people will. So canal is a man-made river. And, you get to go on there for outdoor school. And the Grand Canal is going to be important because it's going to link the Wanghe, also known as the Yellow River, and the Changjiang, also known as the Yangtze rivers together. Because when we looked at them yesterday, they both flow east to west, both of them. And so it was really easy in China to go from the coast to go to the west. But if you were in the north of China, it was really hard to get to the south and vice versa. So he builds this Grand Canal to link the north and south of China. Because the truth of the matter is, Celeste wants to trade. She wants to make lots of money. And she knows her products in the south will go for a lot of money in the north. And Eli says his products in the north will go for a lot of money in the south. So they create this Grand Canal. But here's the thing. Think about all of the things the Sui did, and they only lasted 29 years. They launch a military campaign that fails. Armies are expensive. Wars are expensive. You sometimes recoup it by conquering and stealing all of your enemy's stuff, but when you lose, you just lose. Fixing the Great Wall, expensive. And you're sending your peasants to do the work. And it's not like today where, we have labor laws and things where it's like, okay, you work 8 hours, or if you work more than 8 hours, you get overtime. For them, it's like, oh, guess what? You're working 16 hours today. Oh, it doesn't matter that the temperatures are below freezing. Oh, it doesn't matter that the temperatures are super hot. Oh, here's a little bit of rice. You don't need a break. So it's not good for the people. Rebuilding the city of Chang'an, once again, expensive. Building the Grand Canal, extremely expensive, and thousands of Chinese workers die building the canal because they're working in this heat, and they're working like 16 hours a day, like 7 days a week, and they're basically worked until they die.
unless they make it.
So this whole time, peasants are working extremely hard. Peasants are being taxed tons of money. This isn't much better than the period of disunion because it's so hard on the Chinese peasants. And here is the piece de resistance, the main thing which makes it extra bad. Wow. The emperor, or while the peasants are suffering, the emperor had a favorite thing to do. He loved to sail on the Grand Canal, but you don't actually sail. You see, the way the Grand Canal worked actually, and the way canals work, is you typically have to have something pulling you from land. So you know what would pull the emperor's boat? Peasants. Everyone in the class just said, but yeah, those peasants that are practically starving are pulling the emperor's boat along the side on the ground. So walking all those miles, pulling the boat. Okay, that doesn't sound very good, does it?
Wait, how do they have the time building Grand Canal to work and get money to pay the taxes?
Their taxes are like sometimes their work, or it's what their family plot of growing would do. So let's say just ask, how do they pay taxes doing all their work? So yeah, so the peasant, you're right, Nora. So the peasants, they're working on, they're pulling this guy's boat. The emperor would have feasts with all of his rich friends on the boat. He would go on this huge barge that was like opened up so you can go see and look out and see all the beautifulness of China. He would have feasts during this time. So while people are pulling his boat that are starving to death, well, all along the Grand Canal, there'd be farmers like Raj working, basically starving to death because almost all the food he grows, he has to go give to the emperor. And there the emperor and his pals are sitting on that boat having a party like all the time. And you know what they did when they got too full? They put too much on their plates. They would just dump it all in the river, all the leftovers. Wow, their people are starving to death looking on and seeing their emperor partying like this. And dumping food in the river. Probably, yeah. So, just like Nora said, it's overthrow time.
Oh my God, corn.
So, the Sui dynasty does not last long. But that Grand Canal is still used today. Here. Oh, wait, that's the map of the Sui. Sorry. The green shows where the Grand Canal is. And now you'll see a picture of the Grand Canal today. Look at that. Flourishing, vibrant. I know, it's so cool. I love that picture. Here we see another part which is more rural. We see all the farmland around it. And all that time, the emperor sailing down that, enjoying the beautiful sights, partying while his peasants starve.
It's like down here, it's all dead and hardworking people that are starving in the summer now. And then up here, it's